I'm about to go to bed.
So happy to have you on, giving us a better understanding of how important it is to really have a relationship with our ancestors, you setting up our altars, and more importantly, talking to us about Galighticus and what Galighticus has to offer, because I think you're doing something that no one's never done before. I wanted to start off by sharing a little something. So I lost my mom in the spring of 2021. And let me tell you, Stream Master, he gifted me some ancestor money. Now, I've burnt ancestor money before. From Chinatown, from Amazon. He told me to throw all of that stuff away. I was like, why?
What's that? What's that, brother?
I said, why? Because it was working. So I thought it was working. He was like, no, that's just you working. You doing your thing. You making things happen. Your ancestors haven't even stepped up yet. But let me tell you, he gifted me $80 octillion, right? And I didn't know who a lot of the, I had to research the Jade Emperor, Mahalakshmi. I had to research all of these things. And it says, to my ancestors, known and unknown, may the gods sustain and bless you continuously. And it says, Bank of Heaven. Had great customers, great clientele. My money tripled when I started burning this money. I mean, tripled. I couldn't, but look, customers was coming out of the woodwork. I was getting all kinds of referrals. And then on top of that, my relationship with my mother, it's stronger now than it was when she was physically here. I couldn't understand how that could be. So you tell me what that is, what I'm experiencing still.
What's happening, Akaya, is, I think that with you, I know that you and your mom were close. And what happens is when we have people that we knew in life, predominantly our parents, our grandparents, and sometimes, unfortunately, we have to deal with the departure and the transcendence of people who are our peers. Sometimes it may be siblings, it may be cousins. But what happens is when they cross over, and I know what that feels like because I lost my sister a couple of years ago. One of the things that I'll never forget, I had taken part of my family and we drove in a snowstorm to upstate New York, which is where my cousin was at the time. We drove through a storm that was very, very interesting. And I couldn't see 10 feet in front of my truck. I was driving about 65 miles an hour. And I realized quickly that we were in a void and the truck was being controlled by forces that were belonging to my ancestors. There literally was a giant set of hands on the truck navigating the truck, because it is not possible that I'm able to navigate safely through that storm. As I was driving, I had a vision, which is very, very powerful, of all of my living ancestors. I was standing in the line, and there was another line that was across, and we were facing each other. It wasn't a face-off, but it was a face-to-face. And my sister went from my left side and crossed over and turned around and faced us. I'm watching the road, and I'm watching this up here on another screen. And I just said, wow, she really crossed over, literally. This is what our dearly departed or transcended ones do. So what you've experienced by and large is the arrival of another kind of life that your mother has begun to live, because nothing ever dies. It only changes its interpretation. I can take the shirt off, but what is inside of the shirt, which is me, is still going to be sentient, although the shirt, which is analogous to the body or the human container, has been taken off or washed or whatever it has done. So the appreciation of how your relationship has quantified with your mom is predominantly because you have given her the qualification and the quality of something like GAM, Galacticus ancestor money. The reason that I say that what you were using and what some people still use, because a lot of people don't know about the existence of Galacticus ancestor money, but they will. But until then, they're doing the best that they can. Joss paper in Hell Notes is not really something that is designed for us.
What's that?
Therefore, we should not be
What's
using
that, brother?
it. And when the Jade Emperor, this was about 11 or 12 years ago, I was doing a fire meditation, and my consciousness was transported directly in front of the Jade Emperor. And it was the most amazing thing that I had saw. He literally was just floating there in a meditative position, and he was looking at me, and he was radiating. The sum total was $100 million. And I'm watching these equations go from his brain into my consciousness, literally. And I had no idea what that was for a long time.
Wow.
It took me the better part of 10 years to get all of the codes that are on, and the numbers and the equations, the arrangement. Because when you look at Galacticus ancestor money, each one of them is completely different from the other. The designs are very, very
Beautiful.
different. Thank you. And the imagery, the vaults, a lot of what is on there came from the Jade Emperor, so that things can open up for different kinds of people. Again, just Hell Notes are for certain kinds of people. This is for, let's just say, for lack of a better term, it is for people who are in the West, and that is us. So one of the things that Lord Thoth has done is asked permission from the other gods to lend their energy to the imperative of elevating the condition of the spirit of lack and overturning that in the people that are predominantly on this plane of reality, as well as in the duat. The duat has about an 80% rate of people that are not even conscious that they have the spirit of lack, and they will continue to stay there until they overturn that, and they won't be able to move on to the next leg of their existence. So it's really kind of like a purgatory state for them until they elevate beyond that. So when you look at some of the astronomical numbers that we have on here, this particular note is called a funerary note. Everyone should have at least 7 of these, because whenever someone transitions or transcends in your life, you want to be able to write their name on it and direct the energy of something like this with the Vajra Guru, who is the medicine Buddha, as he's called sometimes. But Vajra Guru is his proper name. You want to send healing. This is a transcension generator, afterlife support of ancestral liberation. Ancestral liberation is something that all of us want to achieve while we are alive, because if you don't achieve it, what's going to happen is you'll come back into another lifetime, and the spirit of lack and poverty consciousness will be very, very inherent within your consciousness. If you look at a lot of these young rappers that are out here, the Baby, Kodak Black, a lot of them have a lot of money. And it's not because they've earned it with their intellect. A lot of it is residual ancestral liberation and blessings that they've been given from their ancestors. But because they haven't done the work of evolving spiritually, the best way that they could express those blessings is with the current latitude of what it is that they've experienced and what they know. You want to come into this life or your next life with a lot of the ashe that you've built up in a prior life. And the best way to do that is to start giving your ancestors the energy to make that possible. So when we utilize GAM, and that's just one modality out of many that Galighticus affords people, but this particular utility is something that will give and bypass a lot of the challenges that you are doomed to face as an unilluminated, unenlightened being. Most people will leave this life unenlightened or even unilluminated. When I say unilluminated, what causes illumination is for you to know who your divine parents are. What causes illumination also in part is for you to have ancestral liberation. What causes illumination is for you to have a very direct system that you have been initiated in that will bring about your transcension, or hopefully ascension if you are a high achiever. But most people settle for low-hanging fruits and just living off the fat of the land. A lot of people don't aim that high because they don't believe that perfection is something that is inherent for them or something that they can participate in. A lot of times people argue against, well, I'm not perfect, I'm just human. And they don't try to strive or attempt to strive for perfection without the fear of being called bougie or uppity. So they stay away from it and they resist it at all times. But perfection, there are states beyond perfection, and we will never know what that is if we don't begin the degrees of what it takes to become all that we can. And that is a far distance from where we are now to where we could possibly be before the end of our lifetime here on Earth.
So someone that has just lost a loved one, can you help them to understand the importance of setting up their altars like right away and making offering?
Altar in your home. And even, there's a lot of people out there that have a roommate situation, or some people that really just don't even have that. They really have to stay on someone's couch. But you want to do the best you can and start transmitting to your ancestors that you have every ideology to do better, and start promising them that if they will help you get your own place, even if it is a room, something that is free of other people's energy, that you will honor them. They will move you along that path and they will help you. So one of the things that I would say is having an altar in your home is really no different from having the benefit of having a car with a full tank of gas. You don't have to spend money on an Uber or Lyft. You don't have to take public transportation and subjugate yourself to the germs of other people and things like that, or the dangers of being pushed on a platform, or the bus is late, now I have to wait, or an overcrowded bus and I'm not really comfortable because I'm not controlling the arrangement of how I'm being transported to another place. You can come and go as you please in your own vehicle. God bless the ground that has their own. Having an altar in your home is analogous to having money in the bank. Having $50,000 in the bank gives you a modicum of freedom that, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a vacation for a week. Or someone in my family just transitioned. I want to give them a donation. Or I just feel like going shopping. It gives you a certain level of freedom that people who don't have an altar will never know. So having an altar gives you the insurance that you will be able to operate with a certain sense of levity within your life. Because if you don't have an altar, it would really be analogous to a tree without any roots. The first storm that hits that has a strong enough wind is going to knock that tree over, and the tree will cease to exist. This is what most people face when they don't have a root system via their altar, via the gam that they have been burning, via the connectivity that they've worked to gain favor, connection, and conscientiousness with their ancestors in life. So for those who don't choose to have an altar, you're basically making a free will decision to forego the amenities of all of the things that the altar makes possible, which is unlimited and endless. If you want to be a spiritually dynamic person, it starts with the basics of getting your character in order first.
Join us today for 3 unique presentations. Apotheosis, Friday, August 30th. Ultra Nahata, Saturday, August 31st. Awakenings, Sunday, September 1st. In Atlanta, Georgia, early bird tickets and discount room and group rates are available at events.Galighticus.com.